How do I claim the site? What does that mean? Okay, claim base. Okay, thank you. Okay. Well, it's enough that I have something placed here now, because there's a space station in this system. How do I... Aha, you're not wrong. Thank you for that. Worm side! Wait, did it not save it? Oh, there it went. It just took a minute. Alright. I don't remember what I got to do to build a teleporter. I think I need a battery and a solar panel. I would have to build a whole bunch of stuff. That might be more the detail than I want to get into right now. Well, for easy access, yeah, but there is a space station here that I have access to. Yeah. I'm not gonna stress that. We're gonna, off we go. Yeah, it looks interesting. I don't like the limited view because of whatever's going on with the Atmo. It's like a fog effect or something. Yep, I am playing on a controller. Alright, let's grab our upgrades from the space station. How come I can't target that planet? Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Yes, Beavis, exactly. This is the perfect example of getting sidetracked. I'm supposed to be looking for the Atlas station. But I did say Paradise Planets were on my agenda if I could find it. And that one said it was a weird... Oh, I've already scanned that one. What did it say? It said something about, like, infested paradise. So it's a paradise planet, but it has worms. So I was like, all right, there's the potential for something there. It's not my first pick. I'm gonna grab our suit upgrades here. World of Warcraft's a lot of fun right now. It's the War Within it's gonna be awesome. Like just the changes they've already implemented. So like the pre-patch went live a week ago, a little bit more than a week ago. And the addition of warbands is such a game changer because it gets rid of the need. Like everything is account shared now. So instead of being account bound, it's all. Or excuse me, instead of being character bound, it's now all account bound. So like all your faction, shared bank, everything is account wide now. So it's literally like you can have a main character and then whatever alts you want, instead of having to grind faction for those alts all over again, like they share the same faction because it's all in the same account now. And then having shared bank access, you don't have to mail stuff between your alts anymore. The story mode that they added for dungeons earlier this year, follower dungeons, and then they've got the the little 15-minute bite-sized dungeons coming later this month with the expansion launch. And then they've got story mode raids coming later this year or early next year for the War Within. So that, you don't have to go in with 30 people or even 10 people. You can go in with, I think, just a handful. I think it's 3 or 6, I forget. But you can go in with like your buddies and go do raids on story mode now. Like, they've made the game super accessible. I can play it on a controller. Like, I have a controller set up for World of Warcraft. It has native controller support, so I don't have to use a mod or anything. Yeah. Commander Wolf says, "Have you played Star Wars Republic?" Sir, I know you're new here, sir. So my YouTube channel, Commander Wolf, I have a Star Wars Republic playlist. I've played that game since launch. I don't play it right now, but I have played it. Traditionally, my brother and I play it together every year. Usually during the winter time, we'll get together for 3 or 4 months and we play it together. This past year we didn't. We did other stuff together. I did play last year. Last year I was subbed up for 3 months. Usually what I'll do is I'll come in. Lord of the Rings Online and Star Wars: Old Republic are the 2 MMORPGs that I have followed since they launched, and I play those games almost every year. This is the first year I have not played either one of those games, and the reason is because I made a conscious decision for my channel's growth to say no more old school MMORPGs. Let's focus on only new games because I am trying to build this into a much bigger. I make a full-time living on YouTube. Don't get me wrong. Twitch we just started doing in October. It's growing slowly. The multi-streaming is going great. We have an audience that changes based on what I'm playing, but overall my growth is always net growth. And I do make a living doing this. But, obviously I would love to expand and get to the point where I can hire somebody who's doing my clips for me and hire a thumbnail person, because right now I do it all myself, and the only way you see growth is if you focus on the new. And so this year I just purposely chose not to play any Star Wars: Old Republic or Lord of the Rings Online. I did do a couple of update videos for them, but I love both those games. The only complaint I have is that they haven't updated to allow me to play it with a controller, and I am I'm getting older now, and I don't like to sit for hours a day hunched over a keyboard. I have horrible tendonitis, like chronic tendonitis in my wrist, and so WASD I have 20 million words in print. I've done a lot of work over the years, and so I've just destroyed my hands. And so I don't like to do mouse and keyboard anymore for that reason. So any game that allows me to play a controller, I will prioritize. But I do love Star Wars: Old Republic. It's a great game. I really like the recent changes where they got rid of the old class system and let everybody do everything. The cosmetic game in Star Wars: Republic is chef's kiss. Like, there are so many cool outfits, and I love the fact that they pull outfits from the new shows, whether they're the animated shows or the new Disney Plus shows. Like, we're getting new outfits in Star Wars: Republic. Broadsword has done some really cool stuff since they took over from BioWare. Updating all the shaders, all the graphics, modernizing some of the architecture. They opened a new server. Yeah. Shush, Mike. Shush. It's new enough. They just did a huge update. That's the only reason Hello Games got away with it, is because of Worlds Part 1. Lord of the Rings Online, I have a lot of fondness for, but they just don't have the budget to ever modernize their game. And it's unfortunate because it is starting to look and feel really fucking old and clunky. And we do have an upcoming MMO being developed by Amazon, but it's still probably 4 to 5 years out, so I wouldn't hold your breath on that. Tales of the Shire is coming out soon, but that's a cozy little... We're going to be playing that on the channel, by the way. It's Weta Workshop's very first video game. It is a cozy, crafty base building game. There's no combat. It's literally, you can play it on any device, any platform, any console. They're just trying to make a super cozy little game where you can live out your Hobbit fantasy. It's got a very unique art style. I'll be playing that for sure. So yeah, it's thanks for the subscription, Melters, over on Prime. Appreciate it. You can never go wrong with more Star Wars. Yeah, it's called Tales of the Shire. I've done a few reaction videos on YouTube, just covering the game. I think the OneRing.net did a pretty big overview on it like last month, because I think they flew him out to New Zealand to do some on-site coverage. It looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. Anyway, that was my long answer to yes, I have a playlist with hundreds of videos on Star Wars: The Old Republic. I've played the Bounty Hunter twice, the Smuggler twice, Jedi Guardian storyline twice. I think the only storyline I haven't finished is the Sith Sorcerer. Although the Sorcerer is the subclass. What the heck is the... That's the only storyline I haven't ever finished. I've done all the other storylines in that game over the years. And I've got characters on like every server. I actually started off playing on the European servers for Lord of the Rings Online years ago. When I was living in Bulgaria. Star Wars Galaxies, I was way too busy with EverQuest 1 to get into that game. Even though I'm a huge Star Wars nerd, that game slipped. I came into it after they had done changes to it, and the audience had already moved on at that point. But I did play a little bit. I've tried the emulators, but I don't, you know, it's too old. You know, it was one of those blips, kind of like the Matrix MMO, you know. It was really good for the short time it existed, but it just didn't exist for very long. All right. Next universe. 10 Paces didn't know there was a Lord of the Rings Online. Yeah, it's been around since, I think it launched in 2007 was when Lord of the Rings Online launched. It is free to play, as is Star Wars: The Old Republic. Your phone? It's right there. Lord of the Rings Online is free to play, so if you're jonesing to try something Lord of the Rings Online, I would highly recommend it. The only thing I would say about Lord of the Rings Online is that it does look a little dated. They did just update to some 64-bit architecture. Launched a brand new European server like a week ago, or less than a week ago. Really recently, they launched 2 new legendary servers. So if you were to want to get into Lord of the Rings Online, the new legendary servers just dropped. Those do require a subscription. They're not the same as the free-to-play servers. Those are progression servers. But otherwise, it's free to play. You can jump on. If you can deal with the fact that it looks a little older, it will grow on you. I'm speaking about Lord of the Rings Online. Like, the art style will grow on you. The game is genuinely fun, but it does have that very antiquated tab target combat system, like you're playing, you know, EverQuest 2 or World of Warcraft Classic. How's the grind? If you like story and you like the books, the Lord of the Rings books, I have said consistently, anytime anybody asks me, what is your favorite MMORPG of all time? I have said Lord of the Rings Online every single year since it came out. It is my favorite MMORPG of all time, because I love story. And so the story of World of Warcraft... sorry, somebody said something about World of Warcraft. I got sidetracked. It's not on PS5. There's no console editions of... unless they just announced it today, there's no console edition for World of Warcraft. Anyway, Lord of the Rings Online, if you like reading stuff, it's a great game because it is walls of text, right? It's just huge walls of text. And so you're going to be reading tons of dialogue, especially if you're following the main quest line. The main quest line is called the Book Quest, and they break it into chapters and books, just like in the actual Lord of the Rings books. And the storyline of Lord of the Rings Online is essentially you're following in the footsteps of the Fellowship of the Ring as they leave the Shire and go to Mordor. And the game, I think there was like 12 years of expansions to get the characters to the Mordor point where they threw the ring into the fire. And they have since then spent the last 5 or 6 years, or however long it's been, adding additional content from the appendices and just continuing to update certain aspects of Lord of the Rings Online. So just the base story alone is like 12 years worth of expansions, if I'm not mistaken on the timeline. And the free-to-play version of the game gives you like the first 90 levels of the game up to Helm's Deep. So it's a huge, like literally there are, like for the average person who's going to log 15, 20 hours a week, there's like you could easily get 2 or 3 years of free content out of Lord of the Rings Online before you ever needed to spend money if you wanted to. But you can also pay a subscription and you get your coins, which you could use for cosmetics and everything else. And now someone's going to make me go Google whether or not World of Warcraft just announced that they're coming out. And if you're wasting my time, there is no news article that says World of Warcraft is coming to PS5, so I'm calling bullshit. There is no definitive. It's bullshit. There was rumors like a year ago, but there is no actual news that World of Warcraft is coming to consoles. So, boo on you for making me Google something. Can you go through the game as if the events haven't happened? If you don't follow the main book quest, yes. The main book quest kind of leads you along the path of the Fellowship, but otherwise you could play your character. Basically, I mean, the Shire is the Shire no matter what. Like, it's not a post or pre version of the Shire, so the Shire just exists within that world. So it's kind of all taking place within the timeline of the books itself. Brett says, all the time I spent looking for Paradise Planet, I could only find Toxic. Now I'm looking for Toxic and only found Paradise. I have an Acid Planet. And yes, Geek of Fury. It would definitely come to Xbox first because Microsoft owns. Yes, correct.
Hostile scan detected.
Oh shit, go on. Fucking pirates, man. That's right.
Warning. Threat detected.
Oh, you assholes stole shit off my ship.
Ships approaching.
Apparently I'm fighting these pirates whether I want to or not. Oh, wait, it's charging, buddy. Shit, I need to actually redo my shields.
Technology recharge.
I think that's the first time I've ever had to recharge my shields during a fight, was this right here. I hope I didn't just shoot an innocent. Oh, nope, there's definitely a third pirate. Oh, it says there's 2 more. Y'all hijacking me as I sit here yapping. This is what I get for getting sidetracked.
Hostile ships defeated.
Alright. We were totally about to jump, I think. Or did we just jump in? I think we just jumped in. Desolate planet. Alright, no, this is where we just were. I haven't jumped out yet. Hang on, I got sidetracked. Pulse engines. Let's go ahead and fill those back up.
Technology recharge.
Oh, we're about to make it to where the Atlas station is. Cool. You can play as a chicken? Yeah, you can, Farfuffle. Alright. Oh, this has already been discovered by somebody. So probably nothing here. Foggy planet, fragmented planet, supercritical planet. Alright, well, since this has already been discovered, we're going to go straight in. What class am I maining? Asks Runner Hotness. I'm gonna main my druid. I was hard pressed between my hunter and my druid, but what defined it for me was when I took a look at the dynamic flight adapt, the skywriting that they added to the game. The fact that I could do skywriting now with my flight form on my druid is just so badass. Like being able to, like, I actually feel like I'm a bird. I actually feel like I'm a raven when I'm in my bird form now. That definitely felt way cooler than the dragon that my I mean, the dragon's cool and everything, but my hunter can only ride a dragon or other, whereas I can shift into bird form, excuse me, and go do all sorts of cool stuff on my druid. So we're gonna do my moon druid. I do have a balanced druid. I actually raided with him earlier this year. That's the main character that I was raiding with. But I like my hunter as well, and I had originally thought I was going to go through... Yeah, but changed my mind, so I'm going to do the druid. The ad ruined it. Short answer, the druid. I'm doing my druid lips. I'll actually be on the druid tonight, actually, for the... We're gonna do the event tonight. Should start at 6 o'clock Central. Endless blah blah, the blah blah, the blah 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 ends. Okay. I don't speak enough. Atlas. How many of these constructs exist in the deep void? How long have they been slumbering, waiting for a traveler? Have they been expecting me, and am I somehow chosen? The Atlas crafted their existence, this existence, the Gek, the Viking, the Korvax, and the stars that fill the skies, and the hatred that burns within the deep. Every world that turns, and every form that lives, the Atlas offers it all. Okay, milestone, Juno, or above, let's consent. I take the gift of knowledge, certain in my decision. All doubts are silenced, the stars await me. So that actually requires the captured Nanoid that he gave me earlier. So I wonder if the next thing I learn from them is going to require the englobed shade to create. Maybe we should create that first. Hold that thought. So if I wanted to create this, first I would need to create that. I need 100 pure ferrite, which I can make with dust, right? Make 100. Okay, let's see here. Let's first make the captured Nanoid. Then let's make the englobed shade. Okay. Hold on to that. Okay, that's probably going to be useful for something. Okay. We need to go to the next Atlas interface. Did I play Return to Moria? I did not. There's a reason I did not. As much as I love Lord of the Rings, the game did not look like it had enough to warrant the price tag. I saw quite a few people who played it, and it looked like it was still kind of an early access. I don't play I do play some early access titles. As an example, Enshrouded is an early access title. but not all early access titles are far enough along. I love the fact that they got John Rhys Davies to come do voiceovers, but I don't know, it didn't look like it had enough to interest me. And at the time, I know I was busy with something else when it came out, so I didn't really feel like I missed anything. I know the people I saw who played it had fun, but they all had given up on it within like 2-3 weeks and were done with it. And it was like, if there's not enough there to keep me going for a few months, I'm not going to waste my time or money. Like with Enshrouded as an example, we got 3 months out of it before we ran out of things to do. And then that's why I skipped update 2, was because I was like, well, I don't, let's wait till update 3. Now that update's 3 out, I'm intrigued enough to jump back in and take a look at what they've changed. But I don't know. I could be wrong, but I remember that being my impression when Return to Moria came out, was people played it, it looked rough, there was a lot of criticisms, and people were done with it within like 1 to 2 weeks. Okay, that was there. We still need to do the space station and the anomaly here to get my updates before we head out. Yeah, all the flight forms are really cool, Lips. Tim, okay, hang on a second. I gotta read this. So Tim Tepe 2, I would highly suggest this goes for anybody who might be new here. If you're watching on Twitch this morning, I am multi-streaming on YouTube and Twitch. My day-to-day stuff is over on YouTube. And the reason I mention this is because I was just asked, have I played Boulders Gate 3 before? The turn-based gameplay is turning me off of it. Oh yeah, I've played Boulders Gate 3. Boulders Gate 3 was the first really big game to blow up for that was the first game that really blew up my channel last year. I had pretty steady growth, and then Boulders Gate 3 came along, and I think we got like 15,000 people over like 4 months. And I was getting like 150 people per stream tuning in. No, it's all good. It's all good. That's why I'm explaining this. I have a massive Boulders Gate 3 playlist over on YouTube. Played it on the PC originally. I started early access years ago when it first came out, October of whenever it was, 2021 or something. And then just stuck up with it for the years, and then when it came out. So yeah, I've played hundreds of hours of Baldur's Gate 3, but that was before I started multi-streaming. So I don't think I did any Baldur's Gate 3 on Twitch. It was all, at the beginning of this year, I did buy the Xbox version, and I started a second playthrough that got up to like 40 episodes or something, and I did multi-stream that one on YouTube and Twitch. But there wasn't enough of an audience after like 40 episodes. It was like there was kind of a fatigue of people. People were tired of watching Baldur's Gate 3 content, so I moved on to other stuff. But I do love Baldur's Gate 3. It's now become my favorite CRPG of all time. And, interestingly enough, I also was hesitant about the turn-based gameplay because I preferred, and still prefer, real-time with pause. But I will say that Baldur's Gate 3 is the game that changed my opinion on turn-based games. And I then went back and have done other turn-based games since then, because I ended up enjoying the turn-based gameplay in Baldur's Gate 3 a lot, even though traditionally I don't like turn-based gameplay. I was testing out Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous recently, which I have played before when it launched, but I came back and had tried it again recently, and I was doing it turn-based because I actually wanted to see it that way. And then I have installed on my PS5, I've not done it yet, it's on the docket this month at some point. I have the PS5 version of Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous, which I am going to be diving into at some point, just to try it out on the PS5, because it is on PS Plus right now for people who have the subscription. And that's a great game that you can play real-time with pause or turn-based. It's way more complex than Baldur's Gate 3, but it's overly complex in some cases. And if you haven't watched my Rogue Trader playthrough, I did a Rogue Trader playthrough earlier this year. and I did that on turn-based mode. Pillars of Eternity blew your mind. Pillars of Eternity is really good. It was not hybrid when it launched, but they made it hybrid later. They added turn-based to it. Josh Sawyer has said later, he's like, if I ever did a Pillars of Eternity 3, he was like, I would do it turn-based as opposed to real-time with pause, because Boulders Gate 3 really inspired me to, look at the critical way you can do some of the fights, and some of the strategy that comes into play with turn-based. But I get it, turn-based is not for everyone, Tepe, and